They always say that the thing that comes natural to you is your calling. And, I'm figuring that out a lot more as life goes on for me. Um, and some of you may be listening saying, well, it's kind of late to find your calling, right? You're turning 50 this year, so isn't it kind of late to be finding your calling? And I'm not saying that I found my calling right now. What I'm saying is there are I think at different periods in your life, different things call you. Okay. And I can say that because I'm pushing 50. And I think at different stages of your life, there are things that become your calling that you need to uh, to take advantage of or to explore. Now, there are people who have found their calling early, and that's what they do for their entire life. That's not the case for everybody. In my case, I've shared with you guys that I have done so many things in my life. I always joke about having a Forrest Gump um, lifestyle, and what I mean by that is I've done a lot of stuff. In the movie Forrest Gump, he, he has that life where he joined the military. He became a shrimp boat captain. He ran across the United States. He played football for Alabama. He did all these things. It's one of my favorite movies. But I always refer to my life being a Forrest Gump type lifestyle. And what I mean by that is I've done so many things in my life. And for different periods, I was doing what was my calling at the time. Now, I can say this that I think my calling has always been to coach, to be a leader, and to work with kids with regards to sports. I've always felt like that. I've always felt like a leader. I've always felt like someone who could inspire people to be great. Now, I didn't always have the qualifications for it, but I always felt like that was in my calling. I just felt like it because anything that I've ever done in my life has always been to try to be the best at it and to be first and to be the example. It didn't matter what I was doing. And that's held true to now. You know, I was talking to a buddy tonight and I said, I believe this is what God has for me. I believe that coaching is what God has for me because I am getting I'm getting signs left and right that I am in the right place and this is where I need to be at this point in my life. And I can say that with complete confidence because, since I've taken on this new gig to coach this team, this high school baseball team, I have been approached by parents. I have been told that they're not sure what I'm doing out there on that baseball field, but whatever it is, keep doing it because they've seen a change in these kids, that they've seen a change in not only their confidence, but their discipline. And in fact, one of them even told me, I don't know what you're doing out there on that field, but whatever you're doing, please don't stop because I'm even seeing a difference with him at home and the way he carries himself at home. And I know it's because of what you're doing on that baseball field because it wasn't happening prior to that. And for someone like myself, for a coach, that makes me feel really good because I pride myself on being more than a coach. It's one thing to know a game that you're whatever game you're coaching and teaching kids. I'm teaching baseball. It's one thing to know the game and teach these kids the game, but it's another thing to Teach them about respect. Teach them about discipline. Teach them about having pride. Teaching them how to carry themselves and teaching them about having ways to do things correctly. And when I took over and came in to coach alongside uh, the guy I'm coaching with now, I uh, I knew that the first thing that needed to happen was this team needs discipline. This team needs organization. It needs guidance. I say guidance because I don't like the word rules because rules are made to be broken. And guidelines, well, they're just that, guidelines. They're they're there to give you a guide on how to do things. Now you may go in and out of the guidelines here and there, but there are guidelines to show you and guide you to do things the right way. And I feel like when you establish rules, I know myself, I hate rules. And I hate that word. So I established guidelines. And at first, there was no pushback. It was confusion. Uh, I mean, there's just a way to do things so these kids understand. Listen, if we can't do all these small things, then we're not, like I said in the last podcast, we're not gonna be great at the big things. So we went on down to, hey, the way we warm up is you go down the third or first baseline, whatever side we're on. You guys all line up on the line, and the rest of you are out on the field. You should be looking side to side and be lined up together, and we warm up that way. When we take our team run, we run together as a team. I run with them actually, and we stay put. You know, before we go for that run, we line our gloves up. We put our gloves in a snake line, one on top of the other in a line. We don't just throw our gloves wherever and go do whatever we're supposed to be doing. Discipline. There is a way to get things done. And it starts at the smallest thing. I said, you guys have to pay attention to details. The details are what's going to get this team to get to that next level. You have to start at the smallest detail. So we did those three things. All right. Then we get to doing our stretching. There's a way to do that as well. Everybody just don't sit around and stretch their arm and do whatever the hell they want. No. So what I brought is part of my football coaching is we got line leads and we fall out every 5 yards. Line leads call the stretching, captains call the stretching, and everybody counts 1 to 10 loud. And then we fall back in and we do our sprints, our high knees, our karaoke's. We do all of that. Butt kickers, everything. Sprints. We start with the small things. And in doing that, I think these kids understood and they understand that, okay, I like this. There was no pushback because I genuinely believe that these kids, they don't want to go out there and get blown out. They don't want to go out there and get demolished by another team. They want to compete. And so they're looking around. Who's going to help us? Who's going to show us how we're going to compete? Because right now we're all over the place. We're probably going to go get killed. Somebody give us some guidance. And this stuff comes second nature to me. It's one of those things like this podcast. A lot of people message me and tell me, "Man, you talk by yourself on this podcast without any guests, and you just talk and you just go." And it's not boring. Sometimes I think I can be boring, but most people that message me, they're like, "You carry the conversation, and it is not boring. I can sit there and listen to you and be well into the conversation." But it comes second nature to me, like this podcast, like talking, like addressing and talking about certain topics. That's how coaching is with me. And I firmly believe that this is my calling for this moment in my life, that this is my calling because I'm getting through to these kids. I'm getting through to teach them not just the game, but about life. And at my age, you should have a lot of life experience at this point. And if you're a coach, I feel like it's your duty to share that life experience with these kids so they know that baseball is great. Baseball is a privilege. It isn't a right. But once baseball's over and you leave and you go out to that big world out there, that it's not pretty. It can be tough. But if you can establish some discipline here between these lines where we play baseball, I firmly believe that you can take that same discipline you learn there and you can take it out to the world. And you can do that in your everyday life, whether it be your job, whether it be at home with your parents, whether it be with relationships, whether it be whatever it is. I believe that you can take what you've learned there and bring it and apply it to your life outside of baseball. I am very open with the kids that I coach, very open. Before we left practice on Friday, I told these guys, I said, do me a favor. When you go home this weekend, you don't have to tell me now, but when you go home this weekend, think about one thing. Think about this thing. Find your reason. And they looked at me and then it kind of confused. And I said, find your reason. Find your reason to play this year. Think about who it is or what you want to play for that's going to give you that drive, that motivation every time you step on the field. Yeah, even when you step on the field here at practice, because I always tell you guys, however you practice here is how you're going to play in the game. So the habits have to be broken here. And if we have habits, they have to be good ones. So I said, take some time to really think of what your reason is this weekend. And then come back Monday and we'll talk about it. You tell me who it is or what it is. I said, and I'll share mine with you. And I proceeded to show them a picture of my coach, Rudy Mendoza, that coached me when I was in high school. You guys know that story. I've shared it with you quite a few times. But I showed them a picture of him on my phone, and it said, play for Coach Rudy. It's my screensaver. And I made that picture my screensaver because I want to remember every day why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because of the impact he had on my life, not just between the lines playing the game, but outside as well. And I shared this with them and I said, that's who I'm playing for this year. I said, he coached me through Little League. He coached me in high school. I said, and probably about 6 or 7 years ago, he passed away. He had a heart attack in the shower. And he's gone. And I wish I could pick the phone up and call him and tell him that I got the job and I wish he would come out and watch me coach because I coach just like him. He taught me everything. And I just wish I could pick the phone up and talk to him because I know he'd be so fucking proud. I shared this story with the kids that I'm coaching because I want them to really have some pride in this season. I want them to really understand that this isn't just baseball. They tried to cancel your season. They tried to take this from you. You guys are seniors. You seniors, you weren't even going to have a season again. They tried to take this from you. And thanks to the coach right here, they didn't. He stepped in. And he's a teacher. It's the only reason why he's out here is because they were going to cancel your season. And then I stepped in to help, and now we're putting it together, and you guys are looking good. People were making fun and making jokes about, man, Independence is not going to have a team this year. What are you going to do? What are the kids going to do? They were asking my own son, what are you going to do? You ain't even going to have a team. Now we have a team. And I want these kids to understand, and I'm going to keep hammering this away, and I'm going to let them know if they play the game the way they're being taught right now, and if they go out there and there's some fucking dogs the way they're being trained right now, they will compete. In fact, I think they will do more than compete. I firmly believe that. And I'm excited. But at the same time, even if we don't have the season that I think we're capable of having, I'm excited about the lessons that they're being taught right now. I'm excited about the young ones moving forward and what they're being taught right now and what they're going to come by and come back as next year with way more knowledge, way more skill, and be better ball players. There's a lot of pride that I think it takes for, I don't know. I say pride, and I know someone's listening right now saying, "Man, pride is a killer." And I hear you, but pride used the right way can be a great thing. I firmly believe that. I know pride has gotten a lot of people in trouble. It has ruined a lot of people's lives because they refuse to drop their pride when they should. What I'm teaching these kids is to have pride in themselves, pride in the program for the school, and pride in their team. And I think they're understanding that. I'm doing everything in my power to coach them up, trying to be as relatable as possible because I do believe that when you're a coach, you have to try really hard to relate to the kids you're coaching. Otherwise, they don't respect you. Otherwise, they have to be able to connect with you. And that's not always easy, especially nowadays with high school kids. But I'm doing everything I can to do that, which is why I feel like this is my con. I feel like God has been preparing me for this moment. And I said that in the previous podcast. It's crazy what is going on in my life right now. I know I missed dropping an episode of the podcast last week, but last week was my first full week with this team. And I needed to fully focus on that to get these kids right because we have our first game this week coming up. But there's a reason why I know God has had me training and trying to stay as fit as I can at my age, which is not easy. There's a reason why he's kept me in the gym, not just training myself, but training my kids, because he knew this opportunity was going to be coming my way. And I think he needed me to be 100% right, physically, mentally, spiritually, in order to take this job on, because it was going to take everything in me. It's wild because I'm going through all my equipment because the school doesn't have a whole lot of equipment for these kids. And I'm realizing everything I'm doing, training these kids, I have all the equipment already. This is equipment that I've had throughout the years from just training myself and training my kids. Equipment that I've been buying online for myself and for my children. And now, picking up this coaching job at the high school, all of this stuff is being used. Kids are like, Coach, where'd you get that? Where'd you get this? How come? Wow, I didn't know you had this. What is this for? Just because a lot of it, people are like, that's not baseball training equipment. Yes, it is. We don't just come out here with helmets, bats, gloves, and baseballs and cleats. There's a lot more to this game that have nothing to do with throwing a ball or hitting a ball. So I've been implementing so many different things that is teaching these kids how to get better without even picking up a glove, baseball, or a bat. And all of these things are things that I've accumulated over time, just training myself and my kids. And every time I'm like, man, I need to get this for the team because we got to do this. I'm like, oh, wait, I got that in my closet, or I got that in one of my bins. I do have that. I could use that. It is really wild, the stuff that I have that is coming in handy. You know, it's funny because all of these kids, like always, all these kids have their own personalities, man. And I'm still learning everybody's name. I'm still learning all that, but they all have their own personality, man. And it's fun to watch. It's really fun to watch. I got a kid on the team where he was telling me he was cramping up, and I remember somebody telling me when I was hiking and I was cramping up. I want to say it was my young guy Daniel Uki, and I was doing Mission Peak, and I told him I was cramping crazy. I was sick when I did that hike, by the way, but I was cramping crazy. I had to keep stopping, and he told me mustard packs. He said, "Keep mustard packs on you." I said, "Are you serious?" He said, "Yeah, keep mustard packs on you. Just when you cramp up, when you take a break, crack one open, and your cramps go away." So I did it, and it worked. So one of the kids came, we were doing four baggers, and one of the kids pulled up a little bit, said he was cramping. So I had him, speed walk the last one, and he comes back to practice the next day. He's like, he's still sore. He's like, I'm sore, this and that. And we were having a team meeting, and I looked at him. I said, mustard packs. And he looks at me and he's like, what? I said, mustard packs. Crack them open. And he goes, looked at me and he went like that because I made a mouth gesture like cracking the mustard pack open and eating it. And so when the other coach stopped talking, I said, hey, listen, mustard packs, the ones you get at, like the hamburger spot or whatever, get some mustard packs and keep those on you, and they'll help you. When I tell you that this kid showed up at the baseball field for practice the next day and his hat fell off and about 15 mustard packs fell out of his hat, I kid you not. I almost busted a gut. I was laughing so hard. I said, "Are those mustard packs?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I brought them in case I didn't have the heart to tell him if you've got 15 mustard packs in your hat, you you got more than cramps going on." I didn't mean for him to grab so many. Keep a couple in your backpack, and when it happens, just go grab one. But he had a whole bunch of them in the cap of his hat when he put it on, and I was cracking up. It was pretty funny. And I've got so many little stories like that with this team, and we haven't even played our first game. And you know, I set up a YouTube channel for these guys with every tutorial you could think of. Tutorials on hitting drills, pitching drills, pickoff drills, infield drills, bat speed drills, uh, outfielder drills, bunting, like base stealing, you name it. Workouts. If you go to the gym, here are some workouts that will benefit your baseball career. All these, I put playlists together for every single thing I could think of, and I made sure they got it, sent it out. And I said, listen, here's my YouTube. Here are all the playlists I accumulated for you guys. You can go through these anytime you want, at home, whatever. For the guys who are struggling with with throwing the ball, because we've got a bunch of guys who've never really played baseball that are younger. Says so for those guys who are struggling throwing the ball, who are struggling with their swings, these tutorials, if you actually put in the work, you will get better. If you're at home, you grab a bat or whatever it is and watch these tutorials on your phone or on your computer, you will get better. All right. There's a lot of fielding drills you can do right off the wall, just bouncing a tennis ball, whatever it is, you will get better, but you have to put in the work. These are things that I can't necessarily run at practice because of time constraints, but these are things that I'm sending you guys so you have them and you can do them at any time, just depending on how much you want to get better. If you don't want to get better and you're happy, so be it. But I did that for them because I wanted them to know, like, I want to give you every opportunity to get better outside of practice. And that's just important for me. Like I said, we have a lot of young kids. A lot of these young kids are probably not going to get a whole lot of playing time this year because this is varsity. And, the juniors and seniors that we have, they're going to get priority. And, we've got a few freshmen um, and sophomores that are going to see some playing time here and there. But for the most part, um, that's just the way it's going to be set up. But on that playlist, I didn't touch on that. I also have a play on that YouTube. I also have a playlist for motivational speeches. And I wanted them to have that as well because I wanted them to hear from athletes and people who have done some amazing things in their careers, coaches, fitness people. I wanted them to hear these people talk about not just the sport that they played or coached, but also about life. And I was telling my son tonight that if if I had these when I was playing ball in high school, I would have put this playlist on and my earbuds in, and I would have been listening to these before the game instead of music. I said, I'm not telling you what to do. You listen to whatever you want that's going to get you hyped up before the game. But if it were my choice and I could go back and have YouTube and all these fancy things for my childhood when I was playing high school ball, I would have been playing this playlist right here of all these sports athletic coaches and players and fitness people who are competitive as shit. I'd be listening to these speeches because they're inspiring, they're motivating, they make me feel like I can run through a wall. So I added that playlist to the YouTube for these kids um, to explore, and I hope they do. I really do. Over the weekend, I took my both of my sons to the gym with me, and one of the coolest things was I actually ran into one of the kids that I coach on that team in the gym, and that was cool because it showed me that this is another kid who takes it serious, who takes being strong and getting fit and taking care of himself. He takes it serious. So it was good to run into him there because not only did he see my son there and they shook hands as like, hey, what's up, bro? Not only did he see them there, but he saw me there. And I will tell you this because it's happened before. The kids that I coach, there's something about them seeing their coach going for a run or hitting the gym and pushing himself that does something for them and their respect for you. There's something about that you're not just sitting around yelling on the sidelines and telling them to do something that you physically can't do anymore. Now I know, I get it. Look, I know that there's going to be a day when I can't do it anymore, but that day is not now. It's not. And until that day comes, I'm going to go as hard as I can. I'm going to push the limit. And every kid that I coach is going to see their coach doing exactly what I do. Not just for them, but for me, for my children, because I want to be here as long as possible for my kids. I want to take care of myself, so I'm here as long as I can be. And forever long as I can coach here at this school or another school or wherever I end up, I would love to coach till my dying day. I love it. It comes natural to me. It is not hard. I know coaching is hard for a lot of people. Trust me, I know so many coaches and they just, man, I need to retire. This is too hard. Coaching's not hard for me. It can be stressful because in the heat of the game, man, things can get really tense. Yes. But is it hard? No. Going to a job you hate every day is hard. I know some of you listening right now are saying, "Yeah, man, I do that every day." I know. Yeah. Going to a job every day that you hate is hard. But this coaching stuff for me is not hard. One of these kids that I coached a while back, when he found out that I got the coaching job, he sent me a text message. And what did he say? He said, "Congrats on being coach for Independence High School. Show the other teams how to ball." And that hit home for me, man. This is a kid that is a junior in high school now, and he goes to another high school. But I have been mentoring this kid since he was in fifth grade. He was 10, and I think he stands about 6'2" now. He's a giant, and he must have saw that I got the job on my Instagram, and he sends that to me. Congrats on being coach for Independence High School. Show the other teams how to ball. And D, if you're listening, man, I love you, kid. That meant a lot to me. Then I got another message. It's funny because I have, been around my area for a long time and played baseball with a lot of people. And it's great to hear from these people now. And, some of the guys that I played with are coming out and leaving me messages, man. And it feels great to hear from these guys. And I want to share something with you. Hold on one second. Bear with me. I put up a post, that talks about season one for my high school. And it was a quote that I put up for John Wooden. And the quote says, "When you improve a little each day, eventually big things occur. When you improve conditioning a little each day, eventually you have a big improvement in conditioning. Not tomorrow, not the next day, but eventually a big gain is made. Don't look for the big, quick improvement. Seek the small improvement one day at a time. That's the only way it happens. And when it happens, it lasts." And that was a quote from Coach John Wooden. Amazing book. My buddy Howard, that I played ball with, he went on to play for the San Jose SaberCats Arena Football League and had an amazing career there. And his daughter is now the top ranked second baseman for the Cal Berkeley Bears, playing softball. And I believe she leads the Pac 12 in home runs with 11 right now. He sends me a message on there and he says, "You coaching?" And I said, "Yep." And he said, "Oh my God, congrats. Way to hold down the fort. Have to come see if I can catch a game. It's been years since I've been back to the school." Man, before I forget, I get another one on Instagram. My buddy, I'm gonna read this to you. He asked me if I was coaching as well. This is a buddy of mine who now lives in San Diego. Ernie, what's up, brother? And I believe he was a sports doctor doing physical therapy or whatnot. I believe it was for the Padres. And then I think he did another team as well. But he was really excited that I got the job, and he says, man, I batted over 400 that season because I shared a photo of us when we used to play at Independence. He said, man, I batted over 400 that season. He said, I'll retire and come be your assistant. Man, I always tell you guys that I pray for financial freedom, right? And I'm not there yet. But I'll tell you what, man, I wouldn't change my situation for the world right now. This is so rewarding and so fulfilling, not just because my son plays at this school, but because of the impact that you're able to have as a coach. I told the kids Friday that my coach was like a father to me. He was like a father to a lot of us on that team. And it made me think about how many kids are in this city that call me coach. And I know I have an episode about that as well. I believe it's called Hey Coach. But if I died and I never was a rich man, I never became wealthy, I would be happy with a line of kids and grown men who I've coached throughout the years who spoke on my behalf and talked about I how I impacted their lives. I'd be happy with that. That's all I got, guys. This has been episode 145 of the Perfect Mess podcast. My website is raymolina.com. Be sure to bookmark that, check it out. Got a merchandise store on there, reviews on books. You can listen to the podcast there. You can read the blogs that I write. Again, that's raymolina.com. The podcast is on Instagram and TikTok. It is at The Perfect Mess Pod. My personal Instagram and TikTok is at It's Ray Molina. I am also on Twitter at I Am Ray Molina. And you can find me on Clubhouse. Please go to Clubhouse, search for Ray Molina, and I will be having conversations there with you guys as this thing grows, and we will talk about episodes, and have you guys' questions and whatnot, and we'll just have good conversations. So that's Clubhouse. I'm also back on Snapchat promoting the podcast. I am on Rumble. Yeah, all these things. I'm on all of them. All right. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube, please, if you're watching it, please subscribe and hit the notification bells in the bottom right-hand corner. And, share the videos. If you like what I'm talking about, please leave a comment down in the comment section and share the videos, guys. I love you guys so much, man. I appreciate everything. I appreciate you guys staying with me and listening to the podcast. Thank you so much. All right. Like I always say, my life isn't perfect. Oftentimes it is a mess, but for me, it is a perfect mess. Peace.